All right, today we're going to talk about 7.1, writing expressions and equations. I want you to go ahead and look at the handout that I handed out to you today. On this handout, you will see the first thing is some things for addition. Let's read together the special words that you see on the blue paper that always mean you're going to add. Let's read them together. Add, sum, increased by, together, more, and, plus, combined. All right, so that was all the things that were there in that addition sign. Let's go to the next one. Well, actually, first of all, addition. Let's see if the order matters when we add. What is 2 plus 3?
4, 7, 5.
5, okay? What is 3 plus 2?
5.
Did the order matter when you were adding? No. Let's go ahead and look at the subtraction section, okay? So going on to the subtraction, read to me what words you see there with the subtraction. Go ahead. Subtract, difference, decreased by, minus, take away. So let's see if the order matters for this one. Let's say 5 minus 3. What is 5 minus 3? 2. Let's switch it around. What is 3 minus 5? Negative 2. Does the order matter? Yes. So with your red pen right there next to that minus section, I want you to write order matters, because the order matters when you're subtracting numbers. All right, so the order does matter for subtraction. Let's look at the next one, division, underneath there. Read me what words have to do with division. Quotient, shared, per, ratio, divided by. Okay, so let's do an example for this one. If I say 10 divided by 2, that means I've got 10 people. I want you to put them into 2 groups. How many people are in each group? 5. Okay, let's switch it around. 2 people. I want you to put 2 people into 10 groups. What would that be? You cannot put 2 people into 10 groups. Okay, so when you are dividing, do you think it matters what order you put the numbers in? Yes, it definitely does. So I want you to go ahead and write order matters, because when you divide, use it with your red pen, the order matters and you cannot switch the numbers around. Last operation that it talks about there is multiplication. Go ahead and read me the words that are in that X.
Product times multiple.
Okay, and the word of is in there too, all right? So we've got product times of, multiple, and twice. What is 2 times 3? 6. What is 3 times 2? Does the order matter when you're multiplying? No. So we're going to leave that blank. The last thing that you'll see there is an equal sign. What key words mean equals? Is, are, were, will be, gives, totals. Okay? So those are all very, very important words that you're going to have to know. How many of you would say you pretty much already knew which words were associated with which operation? Okay? The next part that I'm going to talk to you about on your handout is slightly different, okay? These are things that you're going to want to memorize. The parenthesis words, the sum of, and the difference of. What do you think the sum of means? Plus, minus, addition. So right next to where it says the sum of, I want you to go ahead with your red pen and put a plus. The difference of. What do you think, which sign goes with the difference of? Subtraction. Put a subtraction sign right next to that on your handout. The next thing we're going to talk about are turnaround words. And when we're writing expressions or we're writing equations, there's some words that are going to have to get turned around, and you can't just read them left to right. Anything that has a than in it is going to be a turnaround word. So let's look at the first one, less than. Do you think that's plus or minus? It's subtraction. So put a subtraction sign right there next to less than. The next one is more than. Addition, okay? If I say something's more than something, we're going to be adding. If I say something is fewer than, what is that going to be? Another subtraction, okay? So those are some key things you're going to want to remember. Make sure you're doing that in a red pen on your blue handout. The last thing that I want you to do, it says a number equals a variable. I want you to go ahead and put a big red cloud around that tiny section that says a number equals a variable. And we'll be using all of that here in just a minute as we work on our next slide. I want you to write down right now for me the difference between an expression and an equation. So the first one here says expression. That means it's made up of numbers, variables, and operations. Read to me what the example is for the expression. 3 plus y. The next one says an equation. This is 2 expressions with an equal sign between them. Read me the example. 2x plus 3 equals 6x. Great job, okay? So here's the main thing I want you to kind of really notice about this. With an equal sign, draw a little red cloud around that. Just to know the difference basically between an expression and an equation is this one's got an equal sign. Kind of like Mason said, it's like you're going to be able to solve it like that, okay? So that's the main difference between an expression and an equation. Tonight in your homework, it's going to ask you to do either an expression or an equation. So we'll look at that carefully. Let's go ahead and do a few examples. Okay, so what our instructions tell us to do is to write the verbal phrase as a variable expression and let x represent the number. Now, we're going to do this just reading from left to right, unless we have one of these special things over here, our parenthesis words that are on your blue paper, or our turnaround words. So basically what you're going to be looking, you're going to be like a detective. Look to see, are there any of these parentheses words? Are there any of these turnaround words? If there's not, you just write it from left to right. And if you look on your blue paper at the very bottom, I have in bold, you guys put it in the cloud, a number equals what? A variable. So that's any letter of the alphabet. So if it says a number, we're going to put whatever variable it wants us to do. This says let x represent the number. So anytime it says a number, we're simply going to write x, okay? So read me what problem A says from left to right.
A number increased by 5.
Okay, a number increased by 5. First things off, do you guys see any of the parenthesis words? Do you see the sum of or the difference of in that problem A? Nope. Do you see anything with the word than in it? Nope. So we're just going to read from left to right. Instead of writing a number, I'm going to put a variable. In my directions, it said let x represent the number. So let's write it down first, x. Does anybody know increased by? What operation will I do for increased by?
Addition.
Add. So put a plus. And we're increasing it by how much? By 5. So that is your expression, x plus 5. All we're doing is reading it from left to right and figuring out what it is, what the expression is. Let's go on to the next one. 7 less than a number. Do you see any parenthesis words, the sum of or the difference of? Nope. Do you see any turnaround words with the word than in it? Yes. Take your red pen and underline the turnaround word. What is it? Less than. That means instead of reading from left to right, I have to turn it around. Okay? Less than. Is less than going to be a plus or a minus?
Minus.
A minus. So let's put our minus there first because we know that for sure. Now, the 7 is actually going to go at the end, and a number is going to go at the beginning. So instead of writing a number, what variable will I put there? X minus what?
7.
So just be careful. This one's a tough one because it has a turnaround word. A lot of times you might say, oh, I just read it from left to right. 7 less than a number. But that's actually very different, so you have to make sure you turn it around. Yes, ma'am.
Can I do the next one?
You may do the next one. Read me what problem C says.
3 more than twice a number.
Okay, check first. Do you see any parenthesis words?
So,
No.
I mean,
A turnaround. You do see a turnaround word. Okay, so with your red pen, underline the turnaround word. More than. All right, so that means you got to turn it around. More than. What sign are you going to put first?
addition.
Plus. So let's put the plus sign directly underneath it. And now, help me out. What do you think I should do?
2x plus 3.
You are correct. Okay? Notice how she just put the 2 directly next to the x. What does that mean? She doesn't have an operation there, but what does it mean when a number is directly next to a variable?
Multiply.
You have to multiply it together. So where it says twice a number, that means 2 times a number, 2x, and then she added 3 and she switched it around. Okay? Who's got a question for me on that one? Is there anyone brave enough to try problem D? All right, he wants to try it. 4 decreased by the quotient of a number and 7. Do you see any parenthesis or turnaround words?
No.
No. So all we're doing is we're reading from left to right. So tell me what to write down first. Write 4. Then what does decreased by? A subtraction. Now this is where it gets a little trickier. It says the quotient of a number and 7. Whenever we're doing things like this, if it says the quotient of something, what I want you to do is just draw a fraction bar. Okay? And then you read from left to right still, you put something on top first, and the other one goes on bottom. So decrease by the quotient of a number and 7. So what's going to go on top?
X7. Oh wait,
X over the number what? You are correct. So that says 4 decreased by the quotient of a number and 7. Let's look at the next part. 17 fewer than a number. Addison, what do you think?
Minus.
Okay, you're going to do it from left to right. So do you see any parenthesis or turnaround words? Fewer than, okay? What does that mean? Anytime you have the word than, what do I have to do?
Subtract.
I do have to subtract, but what special thing do I have to do other than just subtract it? Since it's a than word, I have to do what? Turn it around, okay? So instead of reading from left to right, now I'm switching it. Okay, so instead of doing 17 minus x, what am I going to do? Turn it around.
X minus 17.
You are correct.
Oh.
All right. Let's go ahead and go to the next example. I want you guys to write down this slide for me. Write the verbal sentence as an equation and let y represent the number. So beforehand we were doing x, now we're going to do y. Jakari, read me what problem A says.
16 increased by a number is 27.
Excellent. Do you see either of my parentheses words, the sum of or the difference of? Nope. Do you see anything with the word than in it, one of my turnaround words? Nope. So we are going to be able to just read from left to right. So 16 increased by a number is 27. What do you think I should write? Okay, so we're going to start with the number 16 plus a number. What should I write for a number? We're going to do y this time. And do you remember what we do for is? If I say 2 plus 3 is 5, what does that mean? What's another word for is? 2 plus 3 equals, okay? So for this one, equals, and then the last number up there says 27, and there you just wrote an equation. Okay, so if you don't have any parenthesis words or turnaround words, it's pretty simple. You just read it from left to right. Kayla, help me out with the next one. The difference of twice a number and 3 equals -4. Do you see my parenthesis words up there?
The difference of.
The difference of. Everybody with your red pen, underline the difference of. When you see that, the difference of, I have to put parentheses.
Please dismiss your.
Keep going for me, Kayla. The difference of. I'm going to put parentheses right there where the difference of is. Now, when I have the difference of, is that adding or is that subtracting? Subtracting. So let's put a little minus sign right in the middle of that, okay? So let's keep reading it on. The difference of twice a number and 3. How do you think I should write twice a number? Got to multiply 2 times, what do I write instead of a number? 2y. So it says the difference of twice a number and 3. So 2y minus 3 equals, I'm going to put a what sign?
Equals.
An equal sign. And what's my answer?
-4.
You are correct. So box that in. 2y minus 3 equals -4. The product of half and a number is 36. Do you see any of my parenthesis words, the sum of or the difference of?
No.
No. Do you see any turnaround words that have the word than in it? No. So I am just working from left to right. The product of half and a number. Product of. Jakari, what is my key operation for product of? Think about it. Factor, factor, product. We're going to be multiplying 1/2 and a number together. How do I write multiply 1/2 and a number together? In order to make it say 1/2 multiplied by an x, when we do these kind of problems, you're just going to stick it right next to each other. 1/2 y means 1/2 multiplied by y, okay? But I don't want you to put a multiply sign. I don't want you to put parentheses. I don't want you to put a little x. I just want you to stick it right next to each other. So here we have 1/2 y. So it says the product of half and a number is 36. So what do I have to do to finish off my equation? Equals 36 is correct. And that's it. Box your answer in. This is what it says. -3 is equal to twice the sum of a number and 2. Do you see any parenthesis or turnaround words there? The sum of. Underline it with your red pen, just so that we know we're really looking for that every single time. Tati, whenever I have the sum of, what is that? What do I have to do that's special? I've got to do parentheses, okay? So let's go ahead and do the parentheses right there underneath those words. And which operation should I put in the middle of my parentheses? Okay, we're going to add it. So let's read from left to right, and when we get to the part that says the sum of, everything that comes after it is going to go inside my parentheses. Okay, so start off with the beginning. -3 equals. Okay, this is what it says. Twice the sum of a number and 2. So I'm going to put my twice, which is multiply it by 2. And now in your parentheses is going to be the sum of a number and 2. So what should go in my parentheses? You are correct. -3 equals 2 times y plus 2. What this is asking is, it says write a verbal phrase or sentence for the expression or equation. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be writing down what this means. If you look at something and you see that it says 13b, what does that mean? Multiply it together, okay? So we're going to work from left to right. 13, and what is a key word that I could use instead of saying multiply? 13. Okay. Something that starts with T. I am looking for a T. Times, okay? 13 times, but instead of saying 13 times B, what am I going to say? 13 times a number. So basically all that was doing is going backwards. If you had seen something that said 13 times a number, you would know that means 13B. The next one says Q plus 8 equals 34. I want you to write down what you think that would be. Who thinks they know what this should be?
26. Q.
What 2 words have we been using for Q, or for the variable?
Times.
No? Just using words instead of the variable. So we're going to write a number. What should I write next, Ashley?
8.
No, you missed the operation. If I just said a number 8, that wouldn't make sense. So right here, we just did the number. Now what do we do next? Do this. What can I write for words instead of that sign? We're going to write a number plus. A number plus what?
8.
Mm-hmm. And then what? What words do I write? Mm-hmm.
34.
Good job.
Can you write is 34?
You could write is 34, okay? So for this, there's different options that you could do. A number plus 8 equals 34 is what she said, but on our blue paper we learned there's a lot of them. So yes, you could say a number plus 8 is 34. If you're doing this, there's not like a definite, you have to use these specific words. On your blue handout that I gave to you, there are a lot of options of different words that you can use when filling this out, okay? So tonight I want you to go ahead and write this down for your homework assignment, and that is our lesson today for 7.1.